And good evening.
You are here with the team.
Yes, I
We
saw
are
also.
good.
Yes, are you
Deputy
okay?
Minister Bapela.
Good evening, Chair. I'm here. Thank you very much.
We are.
You keep cutting, Chair.
Let's deal with apologies quickly. Am I cutting?
We are fine.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, let's proceed. I have the following apologies. Honorable Mandinkosi Mabdika, still on sick leave. The Honorable Minister, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is at the DG, has got prior departmental commitments, DG of DCOC, because the DG of DTA is here with us. And then the colleagues from the commission that are here is the chairperson, Professor Musoma, is accompanied by Dr. Peto, the deputy chairperson, and the CEO, Mr. Edward Mafaza, including the CFO, Mr. Cornelius Matz. And then to confirm the committee site, I've seen Honorable Brink is here, Honorable Direko, you've heard and seen Honorable Mkalipi, Honorable Mpumza, Honorable Butelezi. Those are the colleagues that are here in our midst, including our committee support staff and the ministerial support staff. I see they are all here as well. I think then we need to start with our meeting, and so that then we can be able to, where possible, if Honorable Mkalipi doesn't keep us here, we should be able to knock off earlier. I just present Professor Musoma and the team.
Thank you, Chair.
And then I'm advised I must switch off my video because at some point I'm getting frozen. But let me try it. It could be the network on my side where I am. But yeah, we could then, my apologies, colleagues, for that. Just want to check if I'm connected. Yes. Am I audible, colleagues?
Yes, you are.
Yes, Chair.
Prof, am I audible?
I hear you, Chair. I
So
hear you.
Okay, we can proceed now.
Yes, you are, Chair.
Thank you.
You can hear me, Honorable. Thank you so much and welcome, Honorable Principal. So I need to then start the meeting officially, Prof.
Yes.
As a committee, we want to Professor, mute your microphone. Welcome, Honorable Adeba. Can you mute your microphone, Professor Musoma?
Okay, thank you.
Mute. Thank you, Prof. Welcome, Honorable Adeba. Welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome and welcome to all honorable members.
Okay. Then I still wanted to say that as a committee, we've perused your annual performance plan, Chairperson Professor Musoma, for the financial year starting 01 April 2021 to as tabled to Parliament on the 20th of March 2021. We note the challenges raised therein, which are said to be impeding the Commission from fulfilling its mandate optimally. These are not the new challenges, as they have also been raised in the previous APPs, going as far back as from the third administration. The main challenge that underpins all the other difficulties relates to the inadequate deploying all we have also noted a review and recommendation report where we recommended that lobby and advocate for adequate funding to the Commission. I think as a committee, we need to follow up on this commitment. At the same time, the Commission also needs to have a clear resource mobilization strategy. During our meeting of the 20th November 2020 on the Commission's 2019-20 annual report, there was an indication that a draft resource mobilization strategy was in place and that this will be finalized by 31st March 2021. We are now at the end of April, and I believe that the Commission should be in a good position to update the committee on this strategy. On the other issue that's worth highlighting is that many of the Commission's APP targets involve hosting of seminars, conducting campaigns, dialogues, conferences, outreach events, roadshows, and colloquiums. Traditionally, you will all agree with us, these are face-to-face events, which are not practical to execute fully in this context of COVID-19 pandemic. The APP also knows that the Commission does not have adequate ICT infrastructure capabilities to transition effectively to the new normal way of working. To us as a committee chairperson and the colleagues, this is a very serious drawback, especially in relation to the Commission's work on rural communities, because that's where rural community involvement and participation must take precedence. And if then we have connectivity problems, then it's going to be a challenge. Then the Commission also needs to find creative ways of addressing this issue as a matter of urgency. We also agree with you, Chairperson, and the colleagues that many of the risks and challenges that may hinder the implementation of your APP for 2021-22 are external to the organization and are beyond your sphere of control. On the other hand, matters of internal control, such as the prevention of irregular expenditure, we believe these ones are within the sphere of your control. Previously, as a committee, we've noted that there's room for the Commission to improve in this regard, as it remains the only entity in this portfolio of COCTA that has not achieved the clean audit in recent years. We therefore also look at the APP as the opportunity for the Commission to address this matter and to ensure that the house of the Commission is in order. Having said that, I would like to welcome you, Chairperson, and hand over to you with the team. I believe the Deputy Minister will have something to say after the presentation. Can I hand over to you, Chairperson?
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson.
Can I plead with you, Professor Musoma, to switch on your video and let's see what happens?
Oh, okay. Let me see. How do I
There you
look?
go. There you
Uh,
go. You can proceed.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I would like also to acknowledge the Deputy Minister, Mr. Babela, or Honorable Babela, the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee in their eminences. And I take note that the Minister of COCTA is not available. I'm not so sure if the DG is available, but thank you
It's
so
around.
much.
The DG is around. DG Dipofa
Yes.
is with us.
So I would like to acknowledge him as well. You have already done the work for me by introducing the members of my team, and I take delight in that, Chairperson. There are just 2 or 3 things I need to mention before we get to the strategy, to the annual report presentation. First is that last year, when we presented our annual performance plan, there were a number of issues that were raised by the Portfolio Committee. And among these were issues of how do we reach communities, our rural communities out there? And that had to do with what we call regional or provincial offices. The Commission took an initiative of approaching all our Chapter 9 institutions on the basis of partnership and collaboration. If they cannot release the space they have for us at no cost, so that we can, with the meager resources we have, begin to implement what I think is a key strategic initiative of ensuring that we are really able to reach the people we serve. And we have received very good responses from 2 of the Chapter 9 institutions who are looking at the possibility of finding space for us. And of importance here, it's also this collaboration with SALGA. And SALGA embraced our request, and to the extent that we are developing a memorandum of understanding, because they have offices across the country, and they will be able to assist that in that regard. And we believe that this will be a game changer, because we will be at close proximity with the people that we serve. The second issue, Chair, had to do with the funding. You have raised it in your preliminary remarks, funding. What we did, Chairperson, is that we saw this as one of the key areas to operate. What we are doing now is to develop, I think in the next few weeks, we will be putting in an advert in the newspapers where we are calling for professionals in funding to apply. And we do so because we want to have a strategy where if you raise funds for us, you can have a portion of that, which is a percentage, and that will be negotiated. We believe that this is one way of really mobilizing resources, and also to look at those communities or private sectors that are doing that are willing to sponsor or support certain programs of the CRL. And then thirdly, it's also about the programs that we have, whether we cannot approach, say, for example, Lotto, to just support those programs and making sure that they continue to flourish. And of course, the use of SABC as one important area to do this. And one of the challenges also, which you also raised, had to do with the nagging question of an unaccounted number of religious and cultural and linguistic institutions in the country. This was even made sharply when the Honorable Minister of COCTA was approached by the religious community regarding assistance. And she turned to us and say, can you give us a database? Of course, we have a limited database, which we were able to give to her, but she wanted a comprehensive database, which specifically indicates all the assets that each and every religious, cultural, and linguistic institutions possess and the capacities that they have. And we are happy to announce that we have been hamstrung by the limited capacity of ICT. That is we need to upgrade that capacity. It's very limiting to us. But we're also awaited for a process for us to acquire the Office 365 license from the State Information Technology Agency, SITA. And that has been addressed. And I think we are on our way to ensuring that we will be able to deal with this capacity deficiency going forward. And also the last thing, maybe before the end of this financial year, we will be able to call on cultural, religious, and linguistic communities, institutions, and leaders to register, because this is an area of our focus which we think we need to discharge as a matter of agency. And finally, Chairperson, we also look at how to render an institution efficient and impactful. And this is what we call management of change. How do you want to do this? We want to make sure, as the presentation will be unfolding, you'll see a section which has been properly done on the issues of values, mission, and norms. And this is an area where, in order to change the character and behavior of our staff and commissioners, to focus on our call and mandate, this will be a center of training, some of the aspects of training to make sure that in inculcating these values, these norms, visions, and mission, they actually drive our capacity and also our commitment to deliver some of the mandate given to us by the Act. And with this, Chairperson, I want to call upon our CEO, Mr. Mafaza, to present the annual performance report. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson of the Commission. Can we allow Mr. Mafaza can we share the presentation first and then hand over to the CEO?
Good evening, Chair. I'm trying to share. Are you able to see?
Not yet.
Perhaps I'll take it from, let me see if I do this. Chair, are you able to see it now?
Not on my side, colleagues. Can you see it? Yes, colleagues?
No, Chair.
Not yet.
No.
I seem to be.
Andile, can you assist Andile?
No, we can't see anything, Chair.
Let's ask Andile to assist the CEO then.
Chairperson, they are not, they haven't made him a co-host. They must make him a host so that he can share.
Okay.
I saw it when I said Andile, I saw Andile has been assigned to co-host. That's why I asked Andile to assist. There was a sign on my screen that he has been given that right.
Yes, Chair, I am a co-host. It's just that my internet is problematic. I'm using my mobile now. I'm not in the computer, so I'm not able to load the presentation.
Okay. CEO, help us, please.
There's definitely something wrong from my side. I've pressed almost everything that I have to.
Can you ask the CFO to do that?
CFO, are you able to share it?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Chairperson. Ntate Eddie is not a co-host. That is why he's not able to share. I was referring to him. They can make him a co-host so that he can share.
Shirin, Shirin, what's happening? Shirin, why can't you share the presentation? Amanda.
I'm trying to does it not show? I'm also on my cell phone.
Yeah, it's here.
No, thank you so much, Amanda. Okay. Thank you so much for coming to the rescue of the CEO and everybody. The CEO, the presentation on the screen now, you can proceed.
Yes, although I will not be able to see it from my side. Let me see.
Why can't you see it if everyone can see it?
Yes, I can see it now, Chair. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairperson and honorable members, the Deputy Minister, the DG, and the Chairperson and Deputy and colleagues. I want to start from slide 2, since the introductions were already done. Slide 2, please. The outline of the presentation, Chair, is just to talk to the purpose and introduction, and we'll just reflect on the institutional arrangements. We'll just talk a little bit on a summarized version on the mandate of the Commission. I think it has moved already. And then the purpose, please, maybe let's start with slide 3 then. So the presentation covers the strategic plan, just a summary, to refresh how it is linked to the annual performance plan. And we'll give progress report, just a preliminary kind of report for 2020-21. And we'll talk to the performance plan 2021-22, and we'll give the update on the project that we are dealing with as a commission, entitled Capacity and Capabilities Project. And then we'll talk to the medium-term expenditure framework and then reflect on the challenges that the chairperson has already talked to. We may just have to summarize them, and then we'll go to the recommendation. Next slide, please. Our institutional arrangement, Chair, is with the commission, is led by the chairperson, as we have actually learned since the start of the meeting, but also with section 22s that are committees that are actually composed of commissioners. And of course, we occasionally have what is called section 7 committees in line with Act 19 of 2002. Now, when we look at number 1, the commission itself, the section 22s are actually linked to the programs. We do have one in research and policy development and public engagement and education, legal services and conflict resolutions, and then communications, marketing, IT and linkages committee. And the last one is finance and human resources committee. The very same programs, they go to administration, because the other side, one is an oversight. On the other side is the implementation of these programs in the field. Next slide, please. Chair, I wouldn't spend much time on the constitutional and legislative mandates, but just to remind ourselves of section 185 and where we get our powers, and 186 and the Act 19 of 2002. Next slide, please. Just some sections of the Constitution that feeds to our mandate. Section 7, which affirms democratic values of human dignity, equality, and freedom. And then section 15, which speaks of about the freedom of religion, belief, and opinion. And section 30, usage of one's language. Section 31(1)(a) speaks of a non-denial of the right to practice one's culture, religion, and language. Next slide, please. So the mainstreaming of some relevant section, the Sierra Rights Commission promotes the wide array of cultures, as we all know, religions and languages found in the country. And some of these cultures, religions, and languages are diminished due to our historical past, and the Commission is to bring to the fore an equal status of these diminishing heritages as promoting unity in diversity. Next slide, please. Progress on achievements on predetermined targets, preliminary report for 2020-21. In the year under review, the Commission worked under unfavorable social conditions, which the Chair also alluded to earlier on, due to COVID-19 pandemic, with resultant lockdown and protocol that impacted negatively on the work of the Commission, especially rural community involvement and participation where there is poor connectivity. This point directly talks to some of the remarks made by the Chairperson in terms of our reach and face-to-face to rural communities. Next slide, please. 2021 targets preliminary report. We have achieved almost all the targets, Chair, except Program 1, which is Administration and Office of the Chair, Office of the Executive Office and Finance and Support Services. The target that was not achieved is related to the support services where staff members were to go for training throughout the whole year in terms of trying to empower them in terms of the skills. But we only achieved 77% under the environment in which we are operating. And we are going to continue in this financial year. The rest of the targets, we managed to achieve them. Although it was very difficult, Chair, because we had to use Zoom meetings to engage with communities, and when some guidelines or regulations were relaxed, we quickly dived into other communities and managed to reach out so that we can be able to fulfill our mandate. Next slide, please. The highlights of the 2021 financial year's research reports, we just gave, took 3 of them just to share. African traditional medicine. The reason was to promote the use of African traditional medicine in the course to fight COVID-19 pandemic. Lots of contestation in terms of the traditional medicines to help in terms of the pandemic that is facing us. This was a very interesting research that the Commission had to do. And then the second one was the African traditional religion, talking to the rights and beliefs. What are their beliefs and